JinPingMei Original Version Chapter 58. Pan Jinlian beats the dog and hurts someone. Meng Yulu and Zhou Qiang grind the mirror. It is said that Simon King was drinking with his relatives and friends that day, got very drunk, and walked into Sun Zue's room at the back. Zue was looking at the stove to put away the fire when she heard Simon King go to the room, so she panicked and took 2 steps at a time. First, Sister Yu sat on his king and encouraged him to sleep with Yu Xiao and Xiao Yu in Yunyang's room. It turns out that Sun Zue also lived in 3 rooms, 1 bright and 2 dark, 1 bedroom and 1 king room. Simon King also didn't come into his room for more than a year. When he heard that he had come in today, he quickly moved forward to pick up Simon King's clothes and settle the person sitting on the chair in the middle, while wiping the mat, making the bed, incense and bathing the women. They came over and handed Simon King some tea, helped her to bed, took off her boots and belts, and had a rest, a night without words. The next day, the 28th, was Simon Xinjiang's birthday. Just after burning the paper, I saw Huzhu, a young man from Handaguo, arriving at the door and lowering his head to speak. When Simon King was informed, he asked Huzhu to come to the hall and kowtow before him, asked where the cargo ship was. Huzhu handed over the book account and said, Uncle Han bought 10,000 taels of silver satin and silk goods in Hangzhou. He has arrived at Linqing Chao Pass today and lacks tax notes and silver taels, so he has not loaded them into the city. Simon King looked at the bookshelf and was very happy. He asked the chessboy to watch the meal with Huzhu and told him to go to Qiao's father's house to see him. He came in and said to Wu Yunyang, the Han man's cargo ship has arrived in Linqing, and he sent Huzhu, a young man, to bring books and books. Now I have to clean the house opposite and unload it there, find a man to clean it up, and open a shop to sell. After hearing this, Yunyang said, it's already too late if you keep searching. Simon King said, now when the second brother Ying comes, I will tell him. After a while, Earl Ying came. Simon King sat with him in the hall and said to him, the cargo ship from Hangzhou has arrived, and we lack a salesman. The Earl said, brother, congratulations. Today is my birthday. The cargo ship will arrive, which will increase the profit tenfold. I am even more happy. If you are looking for a seller, it doesn't matter. I have an acquaintance, but he is a friend of his father. Was originally a seller in a satin shop. He had poor luck for many years and was idle at home. He is only in his 40s this year. Needless to say, he has good eyesight for silver water, is good at writing and calculation, and is good at doing business. This person's surname is Gan. His given name is Run, and his courtesy name is Run. He was born in 1964, and now he lives in Shikyar Alley, but he has his own room. Simon King said, if it's good, you can ask him to see me tomorrow. Just as he was talking, Li Ming, Wu Hui, and Zhang Feng came to kowtow first. After a while, the jugglers arrived, eat in the side room. The promised festival leader took the ticket and said in reply, the only one who wanted to sing was Zhang Aiyur. His madam said that she was waiting after cleaning up, but Wang Huang's family stopped her and went to sing in the house. The younger ones only called Qi Xiang'er, Dong Zhaoer, and Hong Sire, and they will come as soon as they are ready. When Simon King heard that he didn't come, he said, nonsense. Why don't you come? Then he called Zhang Feng and asked, why can't your sister come when I ask her to come? Is it because she was stopped by Wang Huang's family? Then Zhang Feng asked. He knelt down and said, I live elsewhere. I don't know. Simon King said, he said he just wanted to sing at Wang Huang's relative's house. How dare you think that I can't get it? Then he called Diana to come over and said, if you bring 2 more platoons, give me a waiter's post. When you arrive, when Wang Huang saw your father, Wang Er, in his family's house, he said that I would invite some guests to have a drink here. Zhang Aiyur agreed to stay for 2 or 3 days, so at least he was allowed to come. If he refused, even the bastard would be locked up with me, Dennis in the concierge. How abominable. On the other hand, he called Zhang Feng. You should also follow. Zhang Feng didn't dare not to go, so he walked out and said to young Ji Diana, brother N, you go in, I'll wait outside. It must be the call from Wanger's house. I'm afraid he hasn't gone yet. Brother. Lilian, if he hasn't left yet, I'll tell him to come properly no matter what happens, Dan said. If you really went to Wang's house, wait until I get a ticket to ask for it. If you hide it at home, go in and tell his mother to tell him to clean up quickly. And I will say a few words of protection for him. That's it, Dad. If you don't know his character, he will decide from Father Zia's house. If you don't come, he will be annoyed. While Zhang Feng went home to talk, Diane, to platoon troops, and a section commander also came over. It is said that Simon King sent Diane away because he said to the Count, "This little whore is so abominable. If he sings in other people's homes, I won't let him come here." The Earl said, "You little traitor. What does he know? He doesn't know your methods yet." Simon King said, "I saw that he talked very smartly at the banquet, so I asked him to come and sing for 2 days to test him. How disgusting is that?" The Earl said, "Brother, these 4 fans I picked today are all outstanding." Li Ming said, "Second father, you haven't met Ayur yet." The Earl said, "Your father and I were having a drink at his house. He is still young and we haven't seen him in the past few years. I don't know what happened to him." Li Ming said, "This little fanboy, even though he has a good figure, he only wears makeup and can sing. How can he be half as good as Sister Gui?" "Dad, where are you? I dare you not to come. I'm here. I owe you." I still don't know the importance. Just as he was talking, Huzu came back and said, "Young man, I've met you at Father Kiao's place. Please give me your instructions." Simon King taught Chen Jingji, "I'm asking for 50 taels of silver from behind. I'll ask the boy to write a letter and have it printed. I'm short of a section rank. Get up early tomorrow morning and go down together. I'll sign the money with you, Father Jin, and teach him how to pay taxes." At that time, I had 1 or 2 green eyes. After a while, Chen Jingji took out a letter of silver and handed it to Huzu. Huzu received the documents and tax receipts, and they got up early the next day. Without further ado, suddenly I heard the sound of drinking, and came to report safely. "Eunuch Liu and Eunuch Zhu are here." Simon King hurriedly welcomed him to the hall with a hat and a hat. After seeing the etiquette, he went to the roll shed covered with a python robe, and 2 chairs were set up to sit down on. Earl Ying is here, sitting with Simon Qingwan at the banquet. Prime Minister Zhu Nai then asked, "Who is this?" Simon King said, "Last year the old eunuch came over. It was the second brother Ying, an old friend of the student." Zhu Nixiang said, "Is it that Mr. Ying who is so quick to make a joke?" Earl Ying leaned forward and said, "I still remember it, my old father-in-law. After a while, I brought tea and ate it. I saw Ping coming and reported, Master Zhou in the mansion sent someone to tell me that there is still a table today. If you come late, please tell me to sit here first. You don't have to wait." Simon King read the post and said, "I understand." Zhu Nixiangjian asked, "Master Simon, who is late today?" Simon King said, "There is still a seat over there for Zhou Nangshuan. I don't want to wait for him. I'm afraid he will be late." Zhu Nixiang said, "Now that we have said it, let's just sit in front of him." While he was talking, Wang Jing came in with 2 invitations. "The scholars are here." When Simon King saw the posts, one was Ni Peng and the other was Wen Bigu. He knew that Ni Shukai had recommended his classmates and friends, so he hurriedly came out to greet them. They all came in wearing clothes and scarves. Not looking at Ni Shukai, they only saw Wen Bigu, who was not more than 40 years old, dignified and simple, with a beard, modest appearance and gentle manner. I don't know what the behavior is, so I first observe the movement and stillness. There are a few simple words to say about him, although he has unruly talents. He is accustomed to traveling in inappropriate places. As fame and fame fade away, a hero's ambition has faded. His family fortune has withered, and his uninspiring spirit has faded first. He sent back his articles and Taoism to Confucius. He left his career to serve the emperor and his people, and his thoughts of honoring his body and showing his relatives in the East Ocean. He is harmonious and mixed with vulgarity, but his profit and desire are in front. He follows the square and the round, and does not take integrity as the most important thing. He holds his crown and his belt, but there is no one around him. He talks broadly and talks high, but there is nothing in his chest. I have called the case for 3 years, but the exam is still difficult. How can I see the laurel climbing high? Sitting in a wide position with a cup in my hand, I have no boredom in escaping from the world, and I am hiding in the cave. JinPingMei went to the hall to recite the ceremony, and everyone handed over a letter and handkerchief to celebrate Simon's birthday. After paying homage, the guests and hosts sat down separately. JinPingMei said, I have admired Mr. Wen for a long time and he is such a talented person. Do you dare to ask for his name? Wen Shukai said, the student's nickname is Rickson, and his name is Quickshuan. JinPingMei said, Mr. Quickshuan. He asked again, Gikshu, what scripture? Wen Shukai said, students are not talented, and the government is well prepared. I am learning the Book of Changes for the first time. I have always admired the famous name for a long time, but I didn't dare to go to worship. Yesterday, because my classmate Ni Guiyin said, the old gentleman is so virtuous that he dares to come and pay his respects. JinPingMei said, Mr. Cheng gave the gift first, and the student paid homage to him, because the student was a military attaché, vulgar and ignorant of arts and science. There was no one to write the letters. The former met Mr. Guiyin at my colleague's house, and he was very praised. The old gentleman is a man of great talent and virtue. I was about to pay my respects to him for advice, but I didn't expect him to decline. I am grateful for his kindness. Wen Shukai said, students are ungrateful for their talents and lack of virtue, and they have wrongly received too much praise. After tea, JinPingMei stepped into the rolling shed, where 2 old eunuchs, Zhu and Liu, were present. Zhu Nixiang said, please let the 2 old gentlemen undress and come in. JinPingMei asked him to loosen his green clothes and invite them inside. They all gave way again and again, and then one person on each side sat down with their heads bowed. While they were talking, Uncle Wu and Fan Qian who arrived and sat down to sit down. After a while, Dan, his fellow singers and Zheng Feng all replied, all 4 singers have been called. JinPingMei asked, but where is Wang Wencan? Diane said, it was Wang Wencan calling from inside the house. Before she got up, the younger one wanted to use his buster to lock the lock. He panicked, so he got into the sedan chair, and everyone came to answer. JinPingMei immediately went out and stood on the base of the hall. 4 singers came in together and kowtowed to JinPingMei. Zhang Aiyuer was wearing a purple gauze shirt and a white gauze skirt. The waist is as graceful as a willow, and the flowers are as graceful as a hibiscus. It's just that there is no place to buy all kinds of romantic affairs, and it is difficult to spend a good night with a lot of money. JinPingMei then said to Zhang Aiyuer, why don't you come when I call you? How abominable! Do you think I can't bring you here? Zhang Aiyuer kowtowed, without saying a word, and kept walking with everyone with a smile. Went to the back. When he got to the back, he kowtowed to Yunyang and everyone else. Seeing Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er approaching, they each wished them blessings and said, you two came early. Sister Li Gui said, I have no home every 2 days. Because he said, why are you for here now? Dong Zhaoer said, it's all because of Sister Yu that we are late. Pack up and just wait for him. It won't be in vain. Zhang Aiyuer covered her face with her fan and just smiled without making a sound. Yunyang then asked, whose family does this eldest sister belong to? Dong Jiar said, Mom, I don't know, but she is Zheng Xiang'er's sister Zhang Aiyuer. She is only a grown-up, not even half a year old. Yunyang said, you have a good figure. After saying that, he watched the tea and ate it while setting the table for tea for everyone to eat. Pan Jinlian then lifted up his skirt, pinched his feet to look at them, and said, the way you look on the inside is just straight and pointy. Not like the way I look on the outside. The heel inside is bigger, Yunyang said to Da Jinzi. He is so competitive. Ask him what's wrong. One time, she took off the goldfish stick on his head and looked at him, and asked, where did you get a fight like this? Zhang Aiyuer said, it was struck by the silversmith here. After a while, the tea was put down, and Yunyang called, Sister Gui, Sister Yin, please accompany the 4 of them to have tea. After a while, the 6 singers sat together and had tea together. Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er said to Dong Zhaoer and the other 4, you come to the garden every time. Dong Zhaoer said, I'll come back when I go to the back. Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er followed Pan Jinlian and Meng Yulu out of the yamen and went to the garden. Because there were people in the big roll shed, they never went there. I only looked back at the flowers and plants here, and then went to Li Ping'er's room to see Brother Guan. Guaner felt a little uncomfortable again, crying in her sleep and unable to eat milk. Li Ping'er stayed in the house and couldn't come out. Seeing Sister Li Gui, Wu Yin'er, Meng Wanglu, and Pan Jinlian coming in, they quickly gave up their seats. Sister Gui asked, "Brother, are you sleeping?" Li Ping'er said, "He cried all day before he fell asleep," Yulu said, "and he said that Mrs. Liu was invited to come and see him." "Why didn't you ask the boy to go?" Li Ping'er said. "Today is a good day for his father. Let's invite him to go tomorrow." While they were talking, they saw four singers and Sister Ximen and Xiaoyu walking towards them. The eldest sister said, "So you are always here, but I am looking for you in the garden?" Yulu said, "There is someone in the garden. We can't go there. We just took a look and came." Sister Li Gui asked Hong Sire, "What are you doing in the back? Every four to come here half a day ago." Hong Sire said, "I'm having tea in the fourth mother's room in the back." After hearing this, Pan Jinlian looked at Yulu and Li Ping'er, smiled, and asked Hong Sire, "Who told you that it was Si Niang who came?" Dong Jiar said, "Every time he stayed in the room to have tea, he asked Hong Sire, 'I haven't koto to you yet.' 'Who is your mother?' he said. 'I am your fourth mother.' Jin Lian said, 'You shameless little slave girl. It's fine for others to call you that. You can't do it yourself. Call yourself Sin Yang. In this family, who favors you, counts you, and calls you Sin Yang." The man slept in the house all night, got some color, and then opened the dining room. If it weren't for the aunt, there is his eldest sister in the room. There is Sister Gui in his second wife's room. There is Aunt Young in your room. Sister Li has Sister Yin here. And there is his grandma Pan in my room. And it is not her turn to go to your room." "Miles," Yulu said, "you haven't seen him yet. When he got up this morning, he sent his father to the front, calling Lily in the yard. And then he started to show off." Jin Lian said, "As the saying goes, slaves should not be allowed to succeed, and children should not be coaxed." Then he asked Xiaoyu, "I heard your father telling your grandma that he wanted to find a girl for him. He said that your father was in his room yesterday and saw that he couldn't take care of it. So he asked him." The little whore took advantage of the situation and said to your father, "I don't have time to clean the house all day long, so I have to come here to sleep in this house at night." Your father said, "It doesn't matter. Tell your mother tomorrow that I can find a girl to work with you." "That's true. Who said this?" Xiaoyu said, "I don't know. How dare you Xiao hear it?" Jinlian said to Sister Gui, "Your father is not in my room, so I don't go behind him. Why don't I carry the name behind my back every time?" Talking about him, I was waiting for him to talk out of tune and habitually hurt prisoners, so I was anxious not to talk to him. Just as he was talking, Shu Chen brought tea. While eating, I suddenly heard the sound of drum music in front of me. Everyone in Jingdu prison had arrived. They handed the wine to everyone. Daener came to call the four singers and went to the front. That day, Kiao Da who didn't come. First there was juggling, playing and singing. After the team dance, I made a comic book, cut it up and serve it as a soup with rice. I saw medical officer Ren arriving and Kwandai coming in. Simon King welcomed him to the hall to recite the ceremony. Ren ordered the medical officer to take out a longevity handkerchief and 2 stars of platinum from the felt bag to celebrate Simon's birthday. He said, "Yesterday Han Mingchuan said that I just found out about the birthday of the old man. I'm sorry for the student's late arrival," Simon King said. "How dare you use labor and drive, and also thank you for the great ceremony. Thank you for the wonderful medicine." After they paid their respects to each other, they still had to hold the candle when they were appointed as medical officers. Simon King said, "No need," as he took off his coat and met everyone. He settled down at the 4th seat from the left, sitting close to Uncle Wu. After offering soup and rice, and a box collected by his subordinates, the medical officer thanked him and ordered his servants to take them down. Four singers played musical instruments and sang a set of birthday lyrics. Simon King ordered the guests to serve wine separately. The musicians below presented the unveiling. and the two inner ministers Liu and Zhu chose Han Xiangzi's miscellaneous play Xingxian Huiyan Chen Banji. After singing for a while, I saw the sound of shouting getting closer. Ping came in and reported, "Master Zhou from the Garrison Mansion is here." Simon King hurriedly greeted him. "We have never met before, so please be kind and considerate," Zhou Xiaobai said. "I'm here to share one with Siquan." Zhu Nixiang said, "Master Zhou doesn't need to hold the cup. Just see liar." After the two of them bowed to each other, they bowed to everyone and placed spells and chopsticks on the third table from the left. Below is the soup and rice cut up, as well as to plates of snacks, to plates of cooked meat, and to bottles of wine. Zhou Xiaobai thanked him, ordered him to lead him down, and then sat down. They drank wine while drinking wine, singing, dancing and playing music. Exactly, dancing low in the willow tower for the first moon, singing and singing peach blossoms, and fanning the bottom of the wind. We ate until sunset, and first the medical officer Ren left early through the door. Simon King sent him out, and medical officer Ren asked, "Is the old lady feeling well?" Simon King said, "I have taken good medicine and feel better. I have been feeling a little uncomfortable for some reason these past 2 days. Tomorrow I hope the old gentleman will come and take a look." After finishing speaking, the medical officer Ren made a speech and mounted his horse. After falling behind Ni Shukai, and when Shukai stood up again, Simon King couldn't keep him again and again. So he sent him out and said, "I'd like to ask you for help. The Han family has built an academy across the door and lives with the old man. Even the family members have moved here, and it's convenient. Students pay monthly tributes. The upper bundles are repaired to prepare for the need of Shu water." When Shukai said, "Thank you so much for your love," Ni Shukai said, "This is the elegant meaning of the old gentleman's advocating elegance." The second scholar was sent away. Simon King accompanies the guests to drink and eat until late in the evening. The four singers all returned to Yunyang's room to sing and listen to Yunyang, Doc Yuzi and Miss Yang. Simon King still left Uncle Wu and Earl Ying in front, sitting down to drink again. After watching the musicians being given wine and food, I went first. The fire was put away at the rest of the banquets, and fruit plates were brought up from the back. Li Meng, Wu Hui and Zheng Feng were taught to play and sing, and they were given large glasses of wine to eat with him. Earl Ying said, "Brother is hosting a banquet for his birthday today, and everyone likes it." Li Ming said, "Master Zhu and Master Liu also spent a lot of rewards today." When they were behind, Sister Gui and Sister Yin came out again, and each handed him another package. It's just that Master Zhu is younger than Master Liu and is more naughty. After a while, the painting boy brought the fruit plate. When Earl Ying saw the butter snails, he first picked one and put it in his mouth. "It melted like nectar in the heart," said, "It's delicious." Simon King said, "My son, you know how to eat. Your mother-in-law picked this with her own hands." The Earl smiled and said, "It is also my daughter's filial piety," said, "Uncle, please invite me too." So I picked one and put it in Uncle Wu's mouth. He also asked Li Ming, Wu Hui, and Zheng Feng to come forward, and each picked one to reward him. While they were drinking, the Earl said to Diane, "Go to the back and ask those for little whores to come out. I'll leave it alone and ask them to sing with my uncle. If it's a little later, it'll be easy to go. I'm going to deliver the goods today." Liquor, he only sang to sets. Don't give him any advantage. The boy didn't move and said, the younger one called him. He was singing behind me and my mother-in-law came back every time she heard it. The Earl said, "You little greasy mouth. When are you coming?" "You're still coaxing me," because he called Wang Jing. "You go." The king's scripture did not move. The Earl said, "I will make you stay away until I go." Just as he was talking, he smelled a gust of fragrant wind and felt laughter. All four fans came out with their heads covered with sweat towels. The Earl saw it and said, "My son, who raised you to be so good, when you meet the boss, you feel so free and at ease. Don't you want to sing a song with me every time you listen to it? It's so easy. Even the sedan share the money is for coins of silver, and 1 stone and 7 or 8 dew of red pomegranate rice can be enough for your bastard and your family to eat for a month." Dong Zhaoer said, "Brother, if you want cheap food and clothing, You just need to be naturalized. Hong Sire said. It's late for us. There are 2 updates in July and August, so let me go every time, Ji Xiang'er said. I have to get up early every tomorrow to deliver the funeral outside the door. The Count asked. Whose family? Ji Xiang'er said. It's the family that opens the door under the eaves. The Earl said. Could it be Wang Sangwanera's family again? What happened to you the day before yesterday when he implicated you? Thanks to your eldest father's favor, I told Li Geyer that even you were spared. This time, Queer is no longer in the nest. Ji Xiang'er laughed and scolded. Old oily mouth. You are so sweaty. You are talking nonsense. The Count said. Are you laughing at me? I'm half pretty. I can't control you. For little whores. Hong Sire smiled and said, Brother, I see that your wardrobe is not very good, and you just tend to skimp on your hair. The Earl said, I'm here. Come and see how you can pay back the money. Then he said, that thief little whore from the Zheng family. After eating sweets, she was silent and seemed to be in a trance. How dare you remember that lonely old man at home, Dong Zhaoer said. He just heard you said, I'm a little shy here. The Earl said, if you are timid in bed, bring me musical instruments and let each of you sing a set. Whenever you go, I won't keep you. Simon King said, forget it. You do pass the wine and sing a set with him. Ji Xiang'er said, wait until Sister Yu and I sing. At the moment, Zheng Yu played the pipa and Ji Xiang'er played the zither. They sat on the bed and sang beautifully and sweetly. They sang a set of Yu Dao, quail fighting and night goes and dawn comes. Dong Zhaoer handed Uncle Wu wine, and Hong Sire handed him wine from the Earl. They exchanged glasses at the table, leaning against the green and red, exactly, dancing back to the bright moon and falling into the Qin Tower. Singing and stopping the moving clouds to be fascinated by the Chu Pavilion. At that moment, after several rounds of wine and singing, first singers were sent away. Simon King also left Uncle Wu to sit, and asked Chen Hong to come up and sing a set of southern songs. Then he ordered the chessboy to prepare the horse and bring a lantern to his uncle. The uncle said, Brother-in-law, there is no need to prepare the horse, I will go with the second brother Ying. Simon King said, in that case, teach the chessboy how to make lanterns and send them home. Uncle Wu and the Count stood up to say goodbye. Simon King walked to the front gate and said to the Earl, you are interested tomorrow? And have an appointment with Nakin to see me and approve the contract. I will meet Kiao's family so that I can clean up the house over there and unload the goods. The Earl said, brother, you don't need to tell me. I know. While making speeches, he walked with Uncle Wu, and the chessboy held a lantern. Uncle Wu then asked, just now, brother-in-law said that the house was being tidied up. The Earl said, Manhan's cargo ship has arrived. He has opened a new satin shop and tidied up the house opposite. He asked me to find a boy for him. The uncle asked, when will it be opened? Many of our relatives and friends are here to congratulate us. A moment later, when they came out of the street and arrived at the entrance of Rolls Alley, Uncle Wu asked the chessboy, I'll light a lantern to see your second father come home. The Earl refused and said, chessboy, you send uncle away. I don't need a lantern. Just go into the alley. While making speeches, we parted ways to go home. The chessboy sent his uncle away, Simon King sent Li Ming and others, to sing money and went back to Yun Young's room to rest all night. The next day, it turned out that the Earl, who was born in Gan, came to see him in green clothes and talked about the business. Simon King asked Chui Ben to go to a large household to tidy up the house and open an event. Kiao Da who said to Chui Ben, in the future, all matters big and small should be dealt with by your father-in-law. And there is no need to worry about it. I immediately signed a contract with Mr. Gan. He appointed the Earl as a guarantee. And the profit was 10 points, Simon King's 5 points, Kiao Dahu's 3 points. And the remaining Han Daoguo, Gan Chicheng and Chui Ben's 3 points were equally divided. On the one hand, the earth storehouse is being built and the signboards are installed. When the truck arrives, it will be stacked, unloaded and opened. Later, he organized an academy by himself and invited Wen Shukai to be his guest. Specializing in calligraphy and writing, and answering the questions of scholars, He repaired 3 or 2 bundles every month, and there was no shortage of gifts at 4 o'clock. He also arranged painted children and servants to wait on him. Simon King's family entertains guests and often invites them to accompany him to drink. No need to go into details. Unexpectedly, it's Simon's birthday. The next morning, Dr. Ren was invited to see Li Ping'er, and he was at the opposite door to watch and tidy up. Miss Young went home first, but Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er haven't gone home yet. Wu Yunyang bought crabs for 3 coins and cooked them at noon. She invited Da Zhenzi, Sister Li Gui, and Wu Yin'er to eat them round. I saw Mrs. Liu invited by Yunyang to see Brother Guan. After having tea, Li Ping'er accompanied him to the front room. Mrs. Liu said, "Brother is shocked and wants to hold back the milk." A few more pills were left. Yunyang gave him 3 coins and sent him away. Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, Sister Li Gui, Wu Yin'er and the eldest sister were all under the flower stand, setting up small tables and spreading felt strips, playing with dominoes, gambling and drinking. Sun Zui didn't dare to sit for a long time, so she went. Everyone blamed Li Ping'er for their shortcomings. Jin Lian taught Wu Yin'er and Sister Gui to sing another song. That day, all the sisters drank until late. Yunyang packed a box and sent it to Sister Li Gui and Wu Yin'er's house. Pan Jinlian returned to her room very drunk and was upset when she saw Simon King resting in Li Ping'er's room all night and asking Dr. Ren to see him in the morning. Knowing that his child was not good, he didn't want to leave things unturned when he entered the house. In the dark shadow, Ashori had a foot of dog poop, so he went to the room and asked JinPingMei to light a lamp to look at it. A pair of bright red satin shoes were stained all over. Immediately, her willow eyebrow stood up and her starry eyes widened. She asked JinPingMei to turn on the light, close the corner door, and beat the dog with a big stick until it started barking strangely. Li Ping'er sent Yingchun to say, "My mother said that my brother just took Lao Liu's medicine and fell asleep. Please tell Wu Niying not to beat the dog here." Pan Jinlian sat silently for a long time while beating the dog. He opened the door and let it out, then looked for Qiuju's mistress. Looking at the shoes, both the left and the right were annoyed, because they called Qiuju to him and said, "It's late now. This dog should be sent away. Why are you just leaving it in this room? It belongs to you, a slave, wild man. If you don't send him out, teach him to beat all over the floor, and make me wet a new pair of shoes. It's only been 3 or 4 days. Ashrai has shit all over the upper part of my shoe. You know I'm coming. It's time to light a lamp and come out. Why are you pretending to be deaf, mute, and pretending to be a fool?" JinPingMei said, "I told him in my head, well, mother is not here. Feed him some food early and put him in the yard behind." He pretended to ignore me and looked at me with his eyes. The woman said, "But here you go again. You slave who was brave enough to kill many thieves. I know you have become the leader in this house, so I am not sure about this." Because he called him to come over and said, "Look at the filth on my shoes, Ashrai." He coaxed him to lower his head and look at it. Qiuju's lips were bruised from the beating. She just wiped the blood when replaced for and hurriedly walked away. The woman scolded, "What a thief slave. Let's go. Teach JinPingMei, come pick it with me. Kneel down. Get the horse whip and tear off his clothes from me. Teach me how to use 30 horse whips. Come on, but if you twist it, it won't count if I hit you randomly." JinPingMei then tore off his clothes. The woman taught JinPingMei to hold his hands and whipped him down like raindrops, which made the girl scream like a pig. Brother Guan just closed his eyes and woke up again. Then he sent Shu Chun to say, "My mother overrides Wen Yang, please spare Qiuju. I'm afraid I'll wake my brother up." Grandma Pan was sitting on the kang in the inner room when she heard Qiuju's screams as she was being beaten. She got up and tried to persuade her. Seeing that Jin Lian refused to obey, he saw Li Ping'er using Shu Chen to say, and walked forward to snatch the whip from his daughter's hand, saying, "Sister, just give him a few less beatings." His sister over there said, "I'm afraid I'll scare my brother. If the stick is not tight enough to twist the donkey, it will injure the redbud tree." Jin Lian was annoyed in her heart when she heard his mother say this again. She felt even more angry. For a moment, Zi blushed and pushed her hand, barely pushing Grandma Pan. He said, Old man, come and sit with me. If I don't do your business, why are you here to persuade me? What kind of redbud tree or donkey twisting a stick? Just manage the outside and the inside. Grandma Pan said, the thief's short life expectancy. How can I cope with the outside and the inside? I come to your house to beg for cold food and teach you to beat me. Jinlian said, tomorrow you hold that old Maobai between your legs. Let's go. I'm afraid his family will cook me in a long pot and eat me. When Grandma Pan heard her daughter wiping him, she went to the inner room, sobbing, and followed the woman to beat Qiu. After beating 20 or 30 horse whips, 10 more railings were built, and the skin and flesh were ripped open before being released. Then he used sharp nails to pinch his face and cheeks to pieces. Li Ping'er was there, just holding the child's ears with both hands, tears streaming down her cheeks, and she dared to speak out in anger. Simon King was in the house opposite. After a day of drinking and drinking with the Earl, Chui Ben and Gan, he went straight to the Jade Building to rest. The next day, Zhou Shu's family invited him to have a birthday drink, but he was not at home. Li Ping'er saw that Guan's brother had taken Mrs. Liu's medicine and found no movement. He was frightened again at night, and his eyes were just hanging upward. Because that day Aunt Su and Aunt Wang went to their home and came up to Yunyang and said, I took out a pair of silver lions that he used to put on the quilts in the room. And I want to teach Aunt Su how to print the Buddha's Crown Heart Dharma Sutra. On the 15th day of the 8th month, I went to the Yu temple to leave my home. Aunt Su was about to take it away, but Meng Yulu said by the side, Master, please stay here. Madam, you also asked the young man to call General Ben to come and exchange a few cents for him, and then go with him to the sutra shop. Decide on a certain amount, how much money for each sutra, and when it will be available. You teach Master Zhu. How can he get it by himself? Yunyang said, that's what you said. On the one hand, Anner called Ben Si, bowed to Yunyang and others, and put the pair of silver lions on the scales, weighing 41 taels and 5 cents. Yunyang ordered that she and Master Zhu went to the sutra shop to print and make sutras. Pan Jinlian immediately called Meng Yulu. Let's send the two masters away. Just go ahead and see the eldest sister. He is making shoes in the house. The two came forward holding hands. Bai Si went with Aunt Su and Aunt Wang. Jinlian and Yulu walked out of the door of the east wing of the hall and saw the eldest sister collecting shoes under the eaves. Jinlian picked them up and looked at them, but they were sand green silk shoes. Yulu said, Sister, you don't want these red threads. Just use the blue threads, so you can do something better. Do you want red heels tomorrow? The eldest sister said, I have a pair with red heels. I wanted to have a blue heel, so I made the big red thread lock. Jinlian took a look and saw that the three of them were sitting on the base of the hall. Yulu asked the eldest sister, Is your son-in-law in the house? The eldest sister said, I don't know where he ate 2 cups of wine and slept in the house. Meng Yulu then said to Jinlian, If I hadn't been there to tell you just now, Sister Li would have given the money to my sister-in-law to print the scriptures. The scriptures cannot be printed. And the legless crab is hiding in that noble house. Where are you going to find him? I told you to ask General Ben Si to come and go with him. Jinlian said, My rich sister, you are a fool if you don't make money from her. Just like pulling a hair off a cow. If your child is dead, don't talk about giving up the sutra. Even if you give up thousands of miles of mountains and rivers, you can't do it. Now in this house, people are only allowed to set fire, but I am not allowed to light a lamp every time. Eldest sister, listen. It's not someone else. The partially dyed bear didn't get any color, but he was so frivolous and so frivolous. Early in the morning, Dao Deng asked the man to see the imperial doctor. He messes with him, but I don't care. I would often say that in front of others. I am impatient. If his father wants to, he will come into my house and take care of the child, and he will sleep with me. Who can be impatient? I was told to go to someone else's house. Every time I feel good about myself, I still talk about us behind our backs. The eldest sister only listened to his words. I don't always argue about this matter. Why didn't the man come into your house yesterday? Why did you ask the girl to come in from the corner door? After you take care of the child, you take medicine, make the man sleep with Wu Yin'er all night, Show off your good sleep. And make the man like you. Then the eldest sister will have nothing to say. Last night, someone came into the house and kicked the dog shit, beat the girl and chased the dog, and then got angry and asked the girl to come over and say that she had frightened his child. My mother, that old fellow, didn't know that the donkey who came to persuade me twisted the stick and injured the redbud tree. I was annoyed with his soft talk and asked me to give him a few words. He went to his house today. Let's go. Tell me, there are not many poor relatives like you in his family, and there are not many without you. Yulu smiled and said, you are an uneducated descendant. You are a mother-in-law. You are just waiting to mock him. Jinlian said, that's not the case. The annoying intestines, a single tube yellow cat with a black tail. The outside cooperates with the inside, and it only speaks for others. Eat half of other people's bowls and be manipulated by others. If you don't get it, Jin Yu will say yes, and Wan Yu will say yes if you don't get it. Thinking about raising this child head on, he instigated the man to take root. And then he supported him upright, throwing the hated Foot Beauty into the mud to return Foot Beauty. Today, even the weak sky has eyes, and your child is also sick. Just as he was saying this, he saw Ben Si go into the sutra shop to return the silver, and talking to Yunyang back and forth. He saw Yulu, Jinlian and the eldest sister were all on the foundation of the hall. Those who were sitting just stood outside the ceremony gate and didn't dare to come in. Lion came up and said, Mother, Bai Si is here. Jinlian said, it's strange prisoner Genzi. You asked him to come in. Didn't you just meet him at first sight? He comes, Lianer said. Bai Si lowered his head and kept seeing Yunyang and Li Pinger behind him. He said, the silver is 41 taels and 5 cents. I gave it to Zijingera's house with my 2 masters. It is scheduled to be printed in 500 volumes of the Silk Shell Dora, each containing 5 cents, and 1,000 volumes of the Silk Shell Sutra, each containing 3 cents. The total should be 55 taels of silver. In addition to receiving 41 taels and 5 cents, I also gave him 13 taels and 5 cents. I will bring the scriptures early on the 14th. Li Pinger quickly took out a silver incense ball from the room and asked Bai Si to balance it on the scale. It was 15 taels, Li Pinger said. Take it and find it. With him, you keep the rest, exchange some money, and go to the temple on the 15th to give up the sutras and pay for the expenses with you. If you save, you will come and ask me for it. Bai Si then took out the fragrant ball and leaping the sun said, Fourth brother, I'm so tired of you. Ben Si bowed and said, I don't dare, little man. When he walked to the front, Jinlian and Yulu stopped him again and asked, Did you deliver the silver to the sutra shop? Ben Si said, It has been delivered and understood. There are a total of 1,500 sutras and a total of 55 taels of silver. In addition to the 41 taels received, Liu Nang also gave me this silver incense ball just now. Yulu and Jinlian looked at it, but were speechless. Si then went home. Yulu said to Jinlian, Sisterly, it's a waste of money to wait like this. If he's your son or daughter, even a hammer will not kill him. If he is not your son or daughter, even if he is not your son or daughter, you will not be able to keep him no matter what you do. Trust me, there's nothing I can't do. The two talked for a while and both stood up. Jinlian said, Let's go to the front gate, because he asked the eldest sister, Are you going? The eldest sister said, I won't go. Pan Jinlian took Yulu's hand, and they came to the front door and stood at the front. Because he asked Ping Ener, Has the house across the street been cleaned up? Ping En said, What about us? Yesterday, my father saw that everything was cleaned up. The goods are piled upstairs in the back. Yesterday, I taught Yin and Yang to break the ground, and there are 3 wing rooms downstairs. In the room, satin is placed in the earth storehouse, the facade is opened, and there are 3 rooms in a row. The painters are taught to install new paint, and the store opens at the end of the month. Yulu asked again, Has the family of Wen Shukai, who wrote the book, moved here? Ping En said, He has been here since yesterday. This morning, my father ordered that the summer bed in the back be dismantled for him and moved again. 2 tables and 4 chairs, to sit with him, Jinlian said. You haven't seen what his wife looks like. Ping'an said, the black shadow is coming in a sedan. Who saw him coming? Just as he was talking, he saw an old man in the distance, shaking his head. Ye come here, Pan Jinlian said. The mirror grinder is here. Teach Ping'aner. You call him and polish the mirror with me every time. My mirror has been dizzy for the past 2 days. I tell you, you idiot, to look at it and stop screaming. How many times have I stood up every time? Why, is there a mirror grinder here? Ping'an asked the old mirror grinder to put down his burden. Jinlian asked Yulu, if you want to grind it, ask the boy to bring it out and grind it in a short while. So the messenger came to Anner and said, go to my room and ask your sister JinPingMei for my big mirror into small mirrors for looking at my face. Then I will bring out the big square dressing mirror and teach her how to live a good life. Yulu told Lion, go to my room and teach Langsheng to take out my mirror as well. Not long after Anner left, he came out holding an 8-way mirror, large and small, in his hands, and a 4-way full-length mirror in his arms. Jinlian said, you little prisoner, you can't take it. How can you take it out? It jingled for a while. What happened to my mirror? Yulu said, I haven't seen your big mirror. Where did it come from? Jinlian said, it's someone else's? I love it. And it's bright. I keep it in the house and shine it in the morning and evening. Because he asked, I only have 3 mirrors. Yulu said, I only have 2 mirrors, big and small. Jinlian asked, whose are these 2 noodles? Lion said, these 2 noodles belong to Sister JinPingMei, and they are also called Momo when they are brought out. Jinlian said, you little bastard. He leaves his mirror alone and only looks at my mirror all day long, making him dizzy. There were 8 large and small mirrors in total. They were given to the old man who was grinding the mirrors and taught him how to grind them. At that moment, I stumbled on the sitting frame and used mercury. After a meal, everything was so clean that it was dazzling. The woman held it in her hand and compared it with the flowers. It was like a puddle of autumn water. There is a poem to prove it. Lotus calyx and water chestnut flowers shine together, and the wind blows, and the shadows move and sinks. A pool of autumn water with hibiscus appears, like in Jenny leaning against the moonlight. When the woman saw it, she gave it to Lianer and took it in. Yulu ordered Ping'an to ask the shop assistant for 50 cents and a mirror grinder on the counter. The old man took the money with one hand and just stood there without leaving. Yulu taught Ping'an and asked the old man, why don't you go? How dare you complain about the lack of money? Unconsciously, tears welled up in the old man's eyes, and he cried. Ping'an said, my grandmother asked you what troubles you have. Lao Tzu said, to be honest with you, I am 61 years old this year. I have left behind a son. I am 22 years old and have not married yet. I am devoted to wandering and not doing anything in life. Every day I go out to earn money to support him. He also didn't keep his duty and often played for money with the troublemakers on the street. Yesterday, he got into trouble and was tied to the garrison. They were beaten with 20 sticks as bandits. When he came back, he pawned all of his mother's skirts and coats. Then he got sick and had a cold, so he slept on the king for half a month. The old man said a few words to him, and he walked out without going home. He taught the old man to look for him day by day without finding his whereabouts. When he wanted to be angry, he didn't look for him. The old man is so old that he has only given birth to a son, and no one will take care of him in the future. When he is at home, and he sees that he is not a grown-up, he will get angry again. This is the old man's karma. There are such people who are wrong and told everywhere, so tears burst out of my heart. Yulu called Ping'aner, asked him, how old is your future wife? I said, he is 55 years old this year, and he has no flowers. Now he is feeling better after a cold. He just doesn't have any to raise, and he wants to eat some bacon. The old man asked for 2 or 3 days on the street, but he couldn't get a piece of bacon in vain. How can we lament the Son of Man? Yulu said, never mind, there is a piece of bacon in the drawer in my room. Even if Lianer said, go and tell Lan Xiang. There are 2 cake ingots, teach him how to get them, come with you. Jinlian called, old man, I want to ask your mother if she wants to eat millet porridge. The old man said, Why don't you eat it? Are there any? It's good to know. Jinlian also called Annerly over, tell ChenMei to measure 2 liters of the new millet your grandma brought yesterday, and take out 2 pickled melons to eat with his mother. Not long after Na Lion left, he took out half a leg of bacon, 2 pancakes, 2 liters of millet, and 2 pickled melons, and shouted, "Old man, come here. I made you a good fortune. Your mother is not sick and wants to eat, but she is afraid that her child will be in confinement and wants to eat the soup with peace of mind." The old man quickly took it with both hands, placed it in the carrier, looked at the jade tower and the golden lotus, sang "Oh" and lifted up the carrier, shook the Jingguiyi and went away. Ping'an said, "You 2 ladies should not have been tricked by this old glib with so many things like him. His mother is a matchmaker. She walked by on the street yesterday. When will she be home?" Jinlian said, "Prisoner, why didn't you tell me what you were doing?" Ping'an said, "That's all, it's his creation." When Keki and his wife came out, they called him and took care of his things. It's just that, when I have nothing to do, I lean against the lintel of the door, and I just see an old man who is startling my daughter-in-law. Not only can a small thing help, but even a drop of water can be difficult to deal with.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.